Tell me a little bit about going to Battle Creek, because I understand the show wasn't shot in Battle Creek, but you went to get the flavor.
Josh and Cal Penn went.
Being the committed actor that I am.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone.
No, I did. I wanted to go see it and just feel it and talk to some of the local cops just to see, you know, what kind of stuff they really deal with.
Right.
See how they felt about this show, and it was a lot more informative than I expected it to be. I expected just to sort of wander around. I didn't really tell anybody I was going until I got there. I had somebody call the police department, and they took me out on a ride along with their undercover guys, their gang unit, their drug enforcement unit. Like, there's some real stuff happening in this town that nobody would ever expect, because it sits right in between Detroit and Chicago. So they get a lot of riff-raff sort of fleeing either city, sort of hiding out there, and so they get a lot of crime that you wouldn't expect in what seems to be a very all-American town.
What's a ride along like? They're scary, right?
You know, it was actually very. Did you meet my friend Dean?
Hi, what's your name?
Riley.
Hey, Riley, nice to meet you.
He's single and available.
There we go, perfect. Thank you very much, Riley.
I'm like the best wingman you could ask for.
This is the tea.
That's the tea. Yeah, we just put the tea bag in.
So let's sit for a second. Okay. Sorry.
So what?
Thank you very much, Riley. You want to sit down and do the interview with us?
What was I saying? About the ride along is. So he puts me in the back of this car, and I can't really tell you what we did or bought, but crack. He put me in the car with in the back seat, and then he drives this old crappy Suburban with a cracked window, and the windshield wiper never really stops. But he's a cop, and he's got these CIs, these confidential informants that he uses to get information. That he could put these guys away if he wanted, but they help to go get the big fish.
Right.
And so he's building this case against this guy, and I'm sitting in the back seat, and he introduces me to this heroin addict who is an informant for him. This is my friend Milt, who I play on the show. I'm like, yeah. And so we went and bought drugs and did the whole thing, and ended up, I think he sent me a few weeks later, he sent me a text saying that they got the guy that they were trying to get.
Wow.
I'd never been in that situation. I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty real.
Yeah.
Pretty realistic when you're actually in it. It doesn't feel like TV anymore. And that was exactly what I wanted to do, was to see something like that.
I think the best part, I've done a number of ride-alongs in New York and I did one in Nebraska, but I find that for me the best thing about the ride-alongs is actually listening to the cops talk.
Yeah.
Because they have their own language, they have their own verbiage, they have their own rhythms of the way they talk to each other, and it's really fascinating. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever really captured it, to be honest with
you. Just to add to that, there was a relationship that this cop had, who looked like he could be a drug dealer himself, with this kid who was an actual heroin addict, and it was like this older brother, younger brother relationship almost. He cared about this guy. He didn't want him to be an informant. He wanted him to go on and get help, and he didn't want to have to depend on him anymore. He wanted him to fix himself, and he talked so straight to this kid, and I'll never forget that.
Dean, you were saying that the verbiage, the way they speak to one another, gives you a whole other thing. There's a movie, Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal, was it called End to Watch?
Oh, that's a great movie.
That movie struck me that they spent some time with cops, right?
I think look, I worked on Homicide, and I think a lot of shows have gotten it, but no one's ever truly gotten it. I mean, it's like, it really is a whole different world. It's a whole different world.
Yeah. Homicide with my friend Clark Johnson.
Yeah. That was my first job.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
And what was that like? Just because that was such a high-level show. Just such a cool show with intimidating actors, I imagine.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was my first job, and I saw some things in that first week that I was just like, wow, this is how they make TV shows. They were kind of crazy, but the writer, Tom Fontana, I still think he's one of the best writers in the history of Hollywood. So he got it, but I don't think anyone's ever really truly got it. So that's why ride-alongs are important, And I think that I really think that a lot the relationship that Josh and I have, I really do believe it's pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the stuff that we have, especially driving down the street in the Suburban, some of the conversations are priceless. You know, and I think David Shore had a real ear for that, to be honest with you.
Well, and what I learned is I rode along with the guys who do what he does, not the guys, not the federal guys.
Right.
So I got a real sense of. Before this show, I'd never thought about the relationship between federal agents and local law enforcement. Right. I always figured they all got along and we're all in it for the greater good of, fighting crime.
Yeah.
But it's not really that way. Yes, it's sort of a mutually beneficial relationship, but the local guys think the federal guys don't know what the hell they're doing. Right. They just have all this information. And the federal guys have all the information, so they don't need to know all the other stuff. They can sort of supersede all this crap that the local guys know. But they end up needing each other because local needs the resources federal has, and federal needs the guys on the ground who understand what the local, sensibilities are.
Yeah. When you first saw this, I mean, the original script, I understand, was like 10 years old. 13 years old.
Yeah.
What was that like? Does it closely reflect what we see in the show, or no?
What's that?
Like the 13-year-old, like how did it change? From
I mean, I didn't read the one from 13 years ago. I know that a friend of mine was directing it, and they were in the middle of a casting session. They were casting one of the main roles, and CBS pulled the plug in the middle of the casting session.
13 years ago.
13 years ago, yeah. And I think, I'm not really sure why, but they had their reasons, obviously. I think I didn't read that pilot, so I'm sure that there is a difference. I'm sure there's some social relevance that's different, but
they heard about an up-and-coming young actor.
Yeah.
They wanted to wait. They wanted to wait.
They wanted to wait till I was 50.
But it's a real sign of confidence. When they sent the package over to me, there's every episode is in there.
Well, and
I didn't expect, you don't get that. You get one or two episodes. That's all they want to show you. Typically,
you know why? And it's brilliant. And this is why Vince is so smart, because he capitalized on being at the helm of one of the greatest shows in the history of television. And he basically said the only way you can make this show is if you show all 13 episodes. So CBS legally has to show all of them. And
is that true?
It's true. And
I thought it was just 7.
No, I heard it was 13.
Even
7 would be because a lot of times they pull shows after 4 or 5 episodes these days. And
it says.
Was that it?
Yeah.
I'm looking for this thing. They were going to send me one of these.
Well, you know what? It is my gift to you.
Have you seen them all?
I have seen them all.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're the first one that we've talked to that's actually watched them all.
Yeah, that is my gift to you. I've been on the road a lot lately.
Whoa. Where's my fucking gift?
You can have the letter that came with it. But it says here somewhere that
that's great.
They have CBS called us up and suggested that we send all 13 episodes to critics. Our understanding is that this is unprecedented for them, a tremendous sign of confidence, and
wow,
yeah, that's a year's worth of work. That's crazy, right?
That is cool.
Yeah, and
I hope the people actually go through and watch all 13 of them.
Yeah. Well, you can do it on the plane then. Yeah, plane on the way home.
But they can't all be finished.
There are some. It says here some rough sounds.
Yeah.
Some but they're 95% of the way there. They're pretty much done. To my eye, anyway. There was nothing that I went, terrible. You know. So.
Right.
That's good to hear.
And so over the course of this, because you don't typically on a new show, as we get to shoot that much, what did you learn about the characters? What did you learn about working with one another over that space of time? Which is weird because no one had seen it. There was no reaction from critics. There was no fan reaction, which I think sometimes probably filters back through to you. It's like making a movie, really. A 13-hour-long movie.
I think in the beginning we were all flying blind in the beginning, as you always do, But I think that it's safe to say after episode 4 and 5, and the first 4 episodes are really good, but from what I've heard from some of the higher ups is that after the 5th episode, that the show just soars, and I think that we kind of found our footing around 5 or 6, and then the last 7 episodes are just incredible. But for any good series, 30 Rock took a while. Seinfeld took a year. It takes a good show a while to find. I think people that find their footing too quick, I think you usually have a misfire. And you don't want to be so confident in the beginning with that. You want to, you got to let it work itself out. Right. Which is why it's a shame when you hear shows getting canceled after 3 or 4 episodes when you know they probably got better. You know
yeah. Did you guys know one another beforehand?
Nope.
And when you first, I just interviewed a guy called Bruce Greenwood. He's got
I work with Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce, great guy. And he's got a new movie coming out where he's a doctor who's got a patient, a very difficult patient, and they didn't meet one another until cameras were rolling. So because they wanted for their first meeting to be that. So
really?
Yeah.
So they didn't rehearse or anything before?
Nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I worked with Bruce, and we did a pilot together, and our characters weren't supposed to like each other.
Yeah.
And I of course, I like everybody, and I went up to him, and he wouldn't talk to me. I went up to him like at the fitting, he would not talk to me.
That's funny.
And I was like, okay, this is the way it's going to be.
Oh, great! This is going to be a lot of fun. And what was this for? What show?
It was called Venice. It was Romeo and Juliet, based in the surf culture in Venice, California.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah. Didn't work, but
yeah.
he ended up being
sounds fantastic.
He ended up being a really nice guy, really talented actor. Canadian. Well, he had that going against him, but I'm just kidding.
So what is because in the show you guys have an adversarial relationship. You clearly don't here, but I mean, what was it like when you first met? Bruce didn't want to talk to you to keep that thing. Is that too methody kind of?
I was actually driving onto the lot in Manhattan Beach for a fitting, and I wasn't looking where I was going, and I literally, like true story, almost ran Josh over. That was our first encounter, and we had a friend or two in common, and we decided not to do that whole insecure, let's not talk to each other thing. Right, that's to me, it's a sign of insecurity in people that don't know what they're doing. So
right.
No offense to Bruce Greenwood, but
yeah. I just really liked him and wanted to be his friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to stand near him. He makes you look good.
The reflective glow.
Yeah. Jesus.
And the shows, the stuff that you're investigating is a little something that we haven't seen before often.
Yeah.
I think that's what gives the show a lot of its character and a lot of the stuff that people are going to be talking about the next day.
Yeah.
Right. And is that something that drew you in?
I like that. I thought David said it really well. He said the stuff we're investigating on the show you won't see anywhere else. How did it go? If I don't know, something about crimes on any other crime show we would never investigate here.
Right.
And I think that's just because we want this to feel different in that it's not so serious.
Right.
The stuff we're dealing with is serious and we treat it seriously, but when you look at it, I mean, one of the episodes, the mascot for the cereal company gets shot.
Yeah.
Obviously we got to take that seriously as police officers, but it's kind of funny.
And then we investigate an illegal maple syrup ring.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is kind of that was like a little wink homage to Vince Gilligan and the crystal meth thing, but
well, there's that in You Eat the Anchovy. Well, I guess it's in the trailer. I don't think that gives anything away. When you think it's human skin, and you say, no, you taste it, no, it's an anchovy.
Yeah, I fought that one. I fought that moment. But
really, why?
Because at the same, even if
remember Singer, how he was so annoying.
I wanted to kill the director, but it was it's one of those things where. I told them in the beginning, I was like, look, I'm going to play a cop, but I have a lot of friends that are cops, like a lot of friends, and I do benefits for the first precinct in New York. Right. I was like, I'm not doing anything that's corny or unrealistic. Right. We can keep it light, have it fun, and no cop would ever pull a gun out of a dumpster and eat an anchovy off. Period.
For a piece of skin.
So I got into it with the director that day. That was a bad day, but it ends up working for the show. It kind of defines a little bit who I am.
Right.
Rough around the edges, but
and willing to take a chance is what I thought. Like this guy's kind of a loose cannon, Like it. I like those moments in movies, and maybe obviously it's not realistic, I guess, but I like those moments in movies and television that tell you a great deal about a character without really having to explain too much. Yeah, and that told me a lot about the character.
No, it worked. It worked, but that was a chore.
Remember, he kept making you say anchovy.
Yeah, he said I was literally gonna choke him.
No, it's anchovy. He'd say,
and I was saying anchovy. I was like, it's anchovy.
No, it's anchovy.
He was picking on me, and he picked on the wrong person because I had a little talk with him afterwards.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
We just get your cop friends to come visit him. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our time, guys.
That's it?
Yeah, that's
all
it.
right.
Oh, thanks, man. I like your ring.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I like yours.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. Yeah, this was made for me by the guy that makes all the Keith Richards jewelry.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, it's because I watch things for a living. It's a real glass eye. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah,
It's a real eye.
it's a real glass eye.
It's a
Yeah.
real glass eye.
Yeah,
It's a real fake.
it's a real. Yeah. Enjoy those.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
You don't want to take this home and like put it on the wall?
Well, I have a photocopy of it on the wall. All right, enjoy it, guys.
Thank you, Renee.
Thanks.
Thank you, man.